Amitabh Bachchan and Judi Dench, Princess Michael of Kent and Tina Muneem have in common? Who designed Rajan and Ritu Nanda's home, and who takes the credit for popularizing chicken and zardosi? The answer is two young men that many believe are the finest designers in India today. They also happen to be my guests. Their names are Abu Jani and Sandeep Khosala. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Let's start with that day in 1986 when the two of you met for the first time in a friend's home in Juhu. How much of that meeting do you remember?
I have quite a clear memory.
Even I have clear memory.
Because I'm quite an introverted person, and I was there at the party, and I was the only designer, and there was Sandeep who was the only designer. So he started up a conversation, and then we got talking business at a party.
Literally at a party.
And we were talking about what you're doing, what am I doing. I had just moved to Bombay at that time, and I was living at a friend's house, and Abu was ghost designing in those days, as we call it, because the credit we used to never do lines with our names to it. We used to do it for individuals who used to hire us to do a few designs here and there. And Abu was in a job, and he had already got an offer to do a new store. So
I was freelancing at that time, so I had many small jobs which I was doing. I was working for an exporter, I was working for a boutique, and then I was working for an embroidery unit.
But you had a break, didn't you? A lady contact of yours, Gopi Minyani, had offered you an opportunity to open a boutique in Juhu.
Yes, and that is something I was not ready for.
But you did a very strange thing. You suddenly turned to someone you'd only just met and asked him to become your partner.
Yes, because I had too many things on hand, and I thought I saw some of Sandeep's work, and I thought it was very promising.
So you were giving the odd jobs to him.
the odd jobs. It started out maybe with the odd job.
Yes.
Did you get that feeling that he's handing over to me things he doesn't want to do himself?
No, I don't think so. Because we worked
together.
Though we are completely different as people, we worked in tandem from day one. Where work was concerned, I think we had, funnily enough, we had very similar goals. And that it was about doing wonderful things, giving our best.
But the amazing thing is that instead of seeing each other as rivals, you saw yourselves as potential partners.
Initially, I was very insecure because that is the kind of person I was. I said, this new boy, I hope he doesn't take my business over or whatever.
Doesn't outshine me.
Yes. And I saw the talent. But then once we got to know each other and we worked on the first boutique, which we call Mata Hari, it started working.
Tell me about that.
Abu is most honest.
Normally he tells a different story.
No, he never tells a different story. I've never heard this one before.
Tell me about Mata Hari. It's a strange name to choose for your first shop. Was it in fact the femme fatale connection?
Exactly. It was exactly that. In fact, Mata Hari was the spy, the exotic woman, the elusive woman.
The diva.
The diva.
You know?
And
it was also inspired by Greta Garbo in a big way because she again was a mysterious diva.
And Abu's father used to collect Hollywood actress postcards, funnily enough.
So I have quite a big collection of that.
And there was one Greta Garbo with Mata Hari, and that's how Mata Hari.
Yeah.
But when you set about actually creating your first shop, I gather you designed it entirely yourselves. And I'm told that the circular trial room was your fantasy come true.
That was Sandeep's fantasy, that the boutique was designed by us, but the dressing room was supposed to be as if when it turns open and the lights come on, the person inside the dressing room feels like a diva or feels important in the garment. So it was designed like that. It was slightly dramatic.
So the idea was to make every woman who walks in say, wow.
Yeah, and feel special and feel the star for the moment. Everybody wants to be a star.
In fact, one of the big names that walked in almost immediately after the shop opened was Dimple Kapadia. She's gone on to become a dear friend and often models your clothes. But was that first meeting purely by chance?
Just purely by chance.
You know, with Sandeep and myself, we've made all these celebrity friends only through our clothes, which is amazing because here, two unknown people, how do they get to the big league or the big names, you know? It is just our clothes that has introduced us.
So tell me, how did Dimple walk in? Did she just walk past, see the shop and come in?
Actually, there was a magazine then called Bombay, and they done a cover feature on us. Again, we just walked in, or barged into the then editor Mohini Bhullar's office with our clothes, And she just looked at the clothes and said, okay, I'm giving you a cover story. And there were two unknown people from nowhere walking in. She loved the clothes. She believed in them. She did a cover story. That cover story came out. The boutique opened. Dimple walks in. Y walks in. Z walks in. There were people walking in all the time. And
You know, the amazing thing is in the years that followed, not only is the rest history, but you perhaps had the biggest impact in dressing the rich and famous. And yet I gather you've never formally trained either as designers or in cutting and sewing.
Like Sandeep and myself believe that either you have it or you don't. You can go to any institution, it helps you a great deal to construct a garment or to manufacture a garment, but designing is something that you have to have it within you.
it's either you got it or you don't, and it's not about attitude, it's about
Idea
idea
and feel.
and feel. And today it's been mistaken for attitude. There's less of idea and feel, and there's more of attitude.
Tell me something, if you had formally trained, would it have helped or would it in a strange way have hindered?
It would have hindered. I believe it would have hindered me definitely, because I would never let fly. I'd be taught, whatever I'd be taught, I'd be following those rules. I would not be breaking rules and setting rules.
So you can be more creative when you haven't been taught.
That's true.
Yeah, and that applies universally also. I mean, the biggest fashion houses and biggest designers have trained right from the workshops to do the work rather than go to an institution and study. Of course, there are designers who've been to proper institutions and got their degrees, but
But largely, I think it's most
Now,
people are untrained.
You have one of the most sumptuous books that you've brought up, and as I look through it, two things strike me at once about your clothes. They're very Indian and they're very grand. Is that in a sense the hallmark of the Abu Jani Sandeep Khosala touch?
Yes, I definitely say
yeah.
it is. They are grand, they are Indian. We stick to our roots because we want to set an Indian trend all over the world.
But are they practical? Are they things that people could wear every day, or are they really for special occasions?
We do an everyday line and we do special occasions, and people wear them very comfortably.
But the wonderful thing is, as of now, things that Abu Sandeep do just turn out, people wear them for any time special.
But the other thing I notice is that you tend to design a lot more for women than men. Is that deliberate, or is that a reflection of the fact that men in India don't care so much about their appearance?
I think it's our connection with women more than men.
Yes.
I think we feel
We
more for
relate,
women.
we
to
relate
women
more to dressing up
Do
women.
men become self-conscious?
also. That's a part of it.
That
they are
could be,
conscious of it.
yes.
But
And it's easier to appeal to the fantasy in a woman.
Yeah, it is easier because a woman is also more adventurous. I don't say men are not adventurous. Now the whole trend has changed. Men are becoming more vain, they're more adventurous, and they tend to wear slightly over-the-top clothes.
But it's easier to appeal to the dream in a woman.
Yes, that is...
and it's also easy to dream for a woman.
You know, the amazing thing is that some of the most striking clothes you've done are clearly for weddings. Do you remember what Anil Ambani said to you when he commissioned the outfit that Tina Muneem wore at their reception?
He just told us to go all out, and he said, it's entirely your creation. Nobody will interfere with you, but I want the best possible that you have, the best that you have to offer.
But surely that must be something that everyone who commissions an outfit must say. So did it make that easier, or did it make it perplexing?
No, with us, what happens is somewhere there's some force above that makes us do special things for different kind of people. So we keep the person in mind, but every time a new design comes out, and that was one of our better ones.
God's been there with
Destiny and the
God,
hand
yes.
of God is a sort of important part of creation.
absolutely.
But occasionally accidents happen as well, don't they? You had a wonderful outfit in mind, Paramita Singh, when she got married to Saif, and it ended up getting sold by accident. What happened?
Because she was the runaway bride.
And the clothes ran away as well.
Clothes ran away.
Except the clothes went in a different direction.
Yes.
Absolutely.
What happened, we had a show, and on the ramp was this outfit, and she loved that outfit.
She already been
And
married
then-
in that outfit.
And she had already been married in that outfit, and it walked the ramp. And after the show, there was some client who went backstage and said, I want this outfit, and I must have it anyway.
And before we
And
could see
were-
Jack Robinson, we were not controlling the sale at that time. It was already gone, and it was gone. It flew out of the country. And there was Dingy saying, where's my outfit, guys? Where's my outfit?
It's for life, my wedding outfit. How can it disappear?
So what did you do? Did you make another one? Or
we
does
made-
she never have a wedding outfit?
No, we made another one which went abroad, and her outfit was got back.
So you had to do
that's
an
all-
elaborate exchange
yes.
halfway around the
Yes.
world.
Yes.
You've also designed for some very famous people abroad, people like Princess Michael of Kent and Judi Dench. How did you get to know them, Sandeep?
Again, Lindy Hemming, a friend of ours, she'd actually seen our creations in London, and she bought them for the Bond movie for Sophie Marceau for The World Is Not Enough. While Sophie Marceau was wearing them on the set, Judi Dench saw them on the set of the Bond film, and she asked Lindy Hemming that, where do you get these wonderful clothes? Where can I go and get them? And she said they're available in Knightsbridge in London at the shop that we retail out of, and that's our introduction to Judi Dench. She came to the shop a few days later. Abu and me happened to be in London at that point of time, and I happened to walk in at the same time that she walked in, and it was magical.
And what about Princess Michael of Kent? Because not every
Princess-
Indian designer dresses British royalty.
Yes. Princess Michael of Kent has always loved our clothes. She has been seeing our clothes in the boutique where we retail from. And then she asked for us, and we went to Kensington Palace and met her.
Summoned to the palace,
Yes.
especially.
Summoned to the palace. And she says, I love your clothes, and I want to wear them, but I want you to specially do something for me. So we have been working and doing special outfits for her.
So many times people don't realize that when British royalty walk out and their clothes, and everyone says, wow, they're dressed by the two of you.
Sometimes, yes.
Now the amazing thing is that when Lindy Hemming went on to win the Oscar for the best costumes in 2000, she actually walked on to receive the prize wearing one of your creations.
That was a great respect that she gave us, because she, being a designer herself, she said that I'm not going to wear one of my outfits, and you have to do something special for me, because I love your outfits and they're detailed and they're beautiful. So that's how she got an outfit.
Something else that the two of you have done, but the world doesn't really know about, is that you design people's homes as well as their clothes. I gather that when you did Dimples, you did a very special dining room with a dining table made out of an old chest and chairs that slide out like drawers.
Yes.
Yeah, that was an idea, because space is quite
Constrained in Bombay.
constrained in Bombay. And she had, her dining room was quite small, and we were putting our minds together that if we have a dining table with 6 chairs, it will eat up the whole space. So that's how we came up with an idea like a chess, and all the chairs fit inside, and you pull them out, and you have a dining table with people
6
using
chairs,
the
yeah.
chairs. And
But you know, when you move on from designing someone's clothes to doing their entire home, does it worry you that in a sense you're even creating their identity for them?
It doesn't worry us, because we are
You're quite happy to
we're
create
quite
people's
happy
identity.
we're quite happy to do that.
Do they like the identity you create?
I think
yeah,
they do.
I think so. That is why,
That's
I
what I think they
mean,
do, yeah.
yes. And we keep the person in mind, and they are involved up to an extent. Like our clothes, we do have a discussion and a dialogue with what their personalities are, what kind of place they would like to have. So they are involved in what we
So
do.
let me push you a little. When you then see people whose identity you've created, do you begin to feel like creators?
No,
No, not at
no,
all.
not at all.
There's no sense in which you look at them and feel a bit like God saying, that I made.
No, not at all.
Not at
I
all.
think
We-
they're all, everybody that we've been associated with have been so amazing in themselves, and they've been so important in themselves that we can only meet them halfway through, I think.
The rest is their
The
particular
rest is-
genius.
Yeah.
Is genius, exactly.
Let's take a break at that point. I want to come back in part 2 and talk not about your clothes, but about the two of you, and the fact that although the world thinks of you as one, I gather the two of you are as different as two people can possibly be. We'll be back in a moment's time. See you then. Welcome back. My guests are India's most famous designers, Abu Jani and Sandeep Khosala. Let's talk a little bit about the two of you. Although the world thinks of you in one breath, I gather, Abu, that the two of you are as different as chalk and cheese.
Yes.
I would say 2 different kinds of cheese. But
Which
yes,
sort
we
of cheese are you?
I'm the camembert, I think. Sandeep is the blue cheese. You
I
know?
hate cheese.
So, yes, we are very different, and we have difference of opinions, and we have disagreements, because 2 different people can't be the same. I'm the more conservative, the more quiet, and the more reserved person, and Sandeep is more
I'm more extrovert. I'm a bigger extrovert, and I love people. I love controversy.
And your friends say that he loves speaking the truth, and every time he does, Abu squirms with him back in front.
There've been interviews where Abu won't let me speak. He's spoken throughout the interview because he thinks now he's going to let go, and what's going to happen next.
Let's go back to the very beginning. I gather that your family settled in Kapurthala after leaving Lalpur in Pakistan.
That's
How do you
true.
remember your childhood?
My childhood was really, really smooth to a point. I went to Doon school, so it was great. I went to Vellums before that. I was in boarding because there were no schools in Kapurthala. So me and my sister were packed off. And then when I was in my 10th, everything just started collapsing. My father's business started collapsing, and I had to pull out of school. But there were no regrets because I think my mother had made us, we were rounded off enough as children. We had no insecurities. We were brought up with a lot of security. And
Except that in your 10th, to find that your father's business had collapsed and that the world as you knew it was crashing around
Yes.
you must have been a dreadful experience.
It was dreadful, but I think I just let it pass. I was completely flippant about it because I said it's destiny. If it's going to go, it's going to go. And I think it was at that moment that I knew that I had to be somebody special. I had to do something special.
But there
I
were
just
some
couldn't-
pretty tough days, weren't there? I gather going to college from Kapurthala was one of the most difficult things imaginable.
Most difficult thing. I used to get up at 6 in the morning, walk to the bus stop. I mean, walk all over the place. But I think that's what made us what we are today. It's contributed in its way because we appreciate, I mean, one had the good times, one had the bad times, and now we appreciate what we are today.
By amazing coincidence, Abu, you were in your teens when your father went through very similar problems financially.
Yes, we have very similar backgrounds, and our stories are also very similar. So what Sandeep has said is the same thing that we went through, you know. And yes, it was tough. And somewhere, like Sandeep is more of a positive person, I wasn't the most positive. I used to be a very naughty child. I went into slightly introverted
Because
kind of a
of the
person.
financial problems, or just because
Not-
that's the way you are?
Life was tough. Life was tough.
So you retreated into yourself.
Yes.
And now, when you look back, to what extent are the troubles that you've been through, those difficult years in your teenage time, the inspiration and driving force?
It has helped, I think, somewhere along the line. If you go through a rough time in life, it makes you a better person, a more tougher person.
And it's also made us humbler. We never get carried away.
What about hungrier?
Hungrier, yes, we are always hungry.
Yes.
And you can see by the size of us. that we are always hungry. But we are hungry for bettering ourselves constantly.
And is there somewhere at the back of your mind that fear that I mustn't go through that period again?
There is no, I don't fear that because I feel that if it's to be, it's going to be. But there is a lurking
But
fear.
once you come through that scene, you have nothing to lose.
It makes you stronger.
It makes you stronger. Even if everything was taken back, you would start again from scratch.
You almost had a terrible disaster in 1997 when your outlet in Bombay burnt down completely and there was no insurance. Did you at that moment despair?
I was very upset, but Sandeep said, doesn't matter, we will start again, and we started
And I just said we
again.
meant for bigger things. I said bigger things will come out of this. I actually sat with the fire when the fire was just burning down, and I was just sitting
You
there.
sat there watching it burn down.
We actually
Yeah.
sat there.
Everything that
Everything
you possessed burning in
burned.
front of
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And I just sat there and said, look, Abu, we're meant for bigger things. Something major is going to come out of this. God.
Did you believe him or did you say, oh, shut up, Sandeep?
I did tell him shut up, because Sandeep believes in a lot of these pundits and things like that, and he goes and puts his palm forward every time he sees a
Everywhere,
pundit, you know. And a pundit said, you all have nothing to worry, money is flowing, business is doing
And that
well.
was just 3 days before the fire took
3
place.
days before the fire. And then I was sitting outside with everything burned, and the same Pandit arrived over there. Sandeep ran from there and said, Pandit ji, idhar se bhago, idhar aana bhi mat, nahi to Abu marega.
The amazing thing is the Pandit wasn't completely wrong, because just a few months down the road, you opened your first shop in London at Beecham Place, and it turned into quite an unexpected success.
Yes.
Does that reinforce your belief in faith?
Yeah, the first offer from London came to open up a shop in London with, there's a friend of ours called Eileen Coyne. So she was opening a shop and she said, I'd be more than happy to store our clothes with her exclusively.
Because she has also worn our clothes and she loves it.
And she's a jewelry designer
And she
herself.
is a jewelry designer.
But could you have expected that the shop would succeed so brilliantly?
We've walked into unknown territories quite
few times. Actually, all our life we've been walking through an unknown territory.
And we didn't have a clue how these Indian-inspired Western clothes would do in a
and
totally...
how would the Westerner react? But
Yeah.
fortunately, the Westerner reacted phenomenally. I mean, for them it was something so special because something was so beautiful. It was so creative, and they loved the embroidery, they loved the styling.
So is this a bit of fate, the hand of God again?
It's the hand of God again. Yes.
It's there with you all the time.
It's there with us. Fortunately, yes.
You know, you said something very interesting. You said even when you were young and even when your father's world was crushing, you were absolutely confident you were going to make it big.
Yes.
Now that you have, are you satisfied?
I have to go bigger still.
This is nowhere near enough.
This is not near enough.
So ambition burns
to be
strongly.
Abu Sandeep has to be a huge international brand. That's when it's going to be.
How many years before it becomes one?
I'm going to give it till I'm 50, which is 10 years away from now. After that, I'm going to give up.
But when you look back, Abu, at the job you did when you were 17, your father's business was in trouble and you were selling anti-corrosive paint outside gas stations.
Yes.
Now you look at where you've come. Do you marvel at how much you've achieved?
Yes, I marvel and I appreciate it. I appreciate that life has been kind to me. I'm not a believer in religion. You know,
So you
the
don't share
isms,
his belief in the hand of
I don't share
God?
his beliefs at all, because I'm anti-isms, you know. But I definitely think that there must have been some force that has guided me out of those difficult
So if
times.
it's not the hand of God, what's the force?
There's some energy in the universe.
But you're not going to call it God.
I'm not going to call it God.
Tell me something. Today your world is peopled with people like Dimple Kapadia, the Bachchans, the Ambanis, princesses, captains of industry. Are you scared that you might have lost roots, that you might have forgotten what ordinary people are like?
I must tell you, all people that you've named keep us really well grounded. Jaya, our friend, will tell us over and over again, the moment we're flying, she says, stop the flight. And she clips our wings and we're back to ground. We're actually very grounded.
We are fortunate, we have some very good friends, and some are names, but some are not names, and they've kept us grounded quite a lot. So we may go on a yacht or we may fly in a private jet, but that doesn't mean that our reality changes.
Abu and Sandeep, a pleasure getting to know the two of you. Thank you for a lovely interview.
Thank you. Thank you.